rights, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Notice of the meeting has been satisfied in accordance with Chapter 231, PL 1975, by advertising in the Home News Tribune, notifying the Sentinel Publishing Company and the Star Ledger, and also posting on the bulletin board and filing with the Borough Clerk. Roll call.
Mr. Green,
Here.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Here.
Mr. Esposito.
Here.
Mr. Bella.
Here.
Mrs. Gottstein. Here. Mr. Castlegrant.
Here.
Ms. Gasandi.
Under old business and carryover applications, I'm first going to call Ken Pate.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, board members. Thank you. Our application is Sterling Tower and it's on your agenda. We noticed and published for this evening, but we respectfully ask that the board carry us to your May 28th meeting for the presentation. And we would also ask that you accept our notice and publication and not require that we republish.
I need a motion to carry this application to the May meeting.
Motion to carry.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Esposito.
Yes.
Mr. Bella.
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein.
Yes.
Mr. Castlegrant.
Yes.
Ms. Gasandi.
Thank you.
Okay, the meeting will be next month.
Forward to seeing you next month. Bye-bye.
Our next application is 2507. It's 28 Felix Terrace. I have a little trouble pronouncing your last name. If you could please come forward.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Yeah. All right, we're under oath.
Would you tell the board exactly what you want to do at the property on 25 Felix Terrace?
28.
28.
28 Philip Terrace. I'd just like to put up a pole barn. It's basically just for storage for excessive things that we have in our yard. I have 2 children. Actually moving back to my mother's house. I sold my house a few months back. My father passed away 3 years ago, and that's why I'm moving back. I'm moving back with my wife, my 2 children. We have a lot of stuff. I'm basically bringing everything from my other house to my mother's, so it's all her stuff plus my stuff. Again, it's just, we have a swimming pool. It'll be meant for all the pool supplies, all the pool things, all my kids' toys. We have big toys, and I just want to have a little workshop so I could teach my son little things, work on a lawnmower, work on little things that we have. I don't have a landscaper. I do all my things by myself. We do have all the equipment. You know, I have my snow blowers, lawn care, all that is just for an extra storage. That's about it. Garage is just not enough. My mother has her own things in there. We really try not to keep, you know, things that hold possibly gas or anything inside of the house. Obviously it's not just gasoline, just a little bit. I always empty things out, you know, in the winter and the fall. That's about it.
Are you going to put the pole barn up, or is the contractor going to do it?
The contractor out of Pennsylvania.
And it's on the left side of the property all the way to the rear, correct?
Side, all the way in the back.
Anybody from the board have any questions concerning this application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So it's on this diagram, it's listed as a garage. Is that the correct?
Yes.
Okay. But it's not going to be a garage. It's going to be,
I mean, it's a metal pole barn. It's completely metal.
are you using it for a car or?
No.
Okay,
There's
so,
gonna be no driveway to it.
Okay.
No cars, nothing like that.
and it's 24 by 32 according to the drawing?
Yeah.
And how far away from the property lines is it going to be? That's important.
7 feet and 7 feet.
Okay. Jay, do we need
I
to
did a
mark
little
that on a
extra.
drawing, just to make it on the record?
Peč to jest duża proparta. Peč to jest duża proparta.
Okay. And so it also, your rear property line is at an angle to your side property line, so that's where the 7.5 feet will be the nearest to the property line.
Okay, I mean, I could change anything,
Okay.
anything you want me to do, I could always, the property in the back is large. So if you want me to shift it over a foot.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure it's on the record
whatever you
correctly.
guys want, yeah.
And what's to the rear of your property? Are there homes or?
Just backyards.
Okay. All right. Thank
Basically
you.
all backyards, they're basically all the same size. So it's not like I'll be really close to another, home or anything like that.
Okay. And then we always ask these questions. Are you going to have any electricity?
No.
Any plumbing? And is it going to be used for a business?
Absolutely not.
Okay, we just have to ask those questions. All right, thank you.
Powie, że pracuje.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a comment. The pole barn that sits in the back of your property is a lot bigger than what you're proposing. So this, I don't think is a problem.
I also went down to the property and saw the location, and I don't see a problem with it either. Any other questions of anyone?
Yeah, you meet the minimum setbacks, which is agreed to do, but more than that, 5 feet is the minimum, you said 7.5 feet from the rear and the side. I think that'd be 10 feet from the nearest structure, not from the patio, for your pool, from the pool itself. You didn't draw the whole barn to scale, but I think even, I did redraw it, it still looks like you have plenty of room to work.
Yes.
And the issue is that 15 feet is maximum height of accessory use, but only 16, and 150 feet, square feet for accessory use of the area. They're proposing 768, but again, it doesn't seem to be an issue. 150 feet is kind of small, even for a lot of sheds 10 by 15, so I see no issue with this location of the size. And there's a question regarding structure, looking at the aerial photographs, there's nothing, no structures, a home near this at all, there's no backyard, and yard with the 30 feet.
That's correct, yes. I'm going to open it to the public. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak in reference to this application? Hearing none, I close the public portion. It's the pleasure of the board concerning this application.
Motion to approve this application? I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this application. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mr. Bella? Mrs. Gottstein? Castle Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Casandi?
Hey, your application's been approved. We will memorialize it at our next meeting, and you can proceed to put up the pole barn.
So much, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Our next application is 2506, 110 North Edwards Street. Please come forward.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes,
Can I get your first and last name?
Mansukh Jariwala.
How do you spell?
Yeah, MANSUKH, and the last name is Jariwala, JARIWALA.
You the property owner?
Yes,
Sir, would you tell the board exactly what you want to do on your property?
my application is to extend the kitchen and front porch. We have a small kitchen, so we like to make it bigger.
You want to extend the front porch?
Yeah, 4 feet we want to extend, and that will be within the property line.
So you want to extend the front porch and also make the kitchen larger?
Yes,
Am I correct?
yes.
You have a contractor that's going to do this work, or are you going to do it?
No, we will have a contractor.
Any questions of the board concerning this application?
A porch or is it an addition? Because on the application, it says front addition.
Front addition is a porch, yes. We have a 5 feet porch. We want to extend 4 feet further within the building line, because some in the storm, we have the, snow drift and rain, so.
So that porch you're going to extend to be equal to either side of the
Equal-
house?
Equal or less.
Okay. So it's not an addition. It's an extension of the porch, correct?
Yes, extension of porch, that's correct.
There's, on your drawing, there's you have in red, new 5-foot-high fence, but that's not part of the variance, is it? That's-
No, that is not the part, but I would like to have the fence around, because our neighbor has a fence too.
Okay.
Does that require any relief? That 5-foot fence?
Needs zoning.
Generally, fences are 4 feet or 6 feet, but for the side or rear yard, I think 6 feet is allowed by ordinance, but I wasn't reviewing the fence.
Yeah, you may have to come back and get a permit for the fence. I don't think necessarily, if it's permitted, the board can't grant a permit. We just go through the zoning officer. And if it's not permitted, then you can come back here for another application.
I have another comment.
Uh,
Your survey is from 2006.
Yes,
Have you added anything onto the property? Like, when did you take ownership?
I took the ownership on 2011, and we added in 2018 the deck in the backyard, and I had a permit and approval from the board.
Okay, so that wouldn't be on this survey.
You probably added that on the survey
Yes,
drawing. Yeah,
yes.
it wasn't part of the original survey, but you sketched in on that old survey where the deck is. So
That
you are
is correct.
showing
That
it
is
on the
correct.
plan.
What are the variances?
One variance, the maximum building coverage, like 20% is permitted, and it's probably 26. R10 zone, minimum 10,000 square feet, and a lot of oversized, they have 13,000. With some honey function,
Uh, Can I remove the fence for now?
Yeah.
Okay, we can do later on.
So, you can go in and ask the zoning officer for a fence permit. And assuming that your fence is permitted, then the zoning officer will issue you a fence permit and you can go build the fence.
Yeah.
So it's not really part of this application.
Yeah, okay, so this is not part of it. Yes, yeah, okay, thank you.
The application, as you presented it to us, we'll hear it. It's the fence that we're talking about, that you'll just go to the zoning office and get the permit just for the fence.
Okay,
The application is what we're hearing now.
all right, got it.
Any other questions from the board? No other questions. Are going to open it to the public. Anyone from the public wish to speak in reference to this application? Hearing none, I close the public portion. And what is the pleasure of the board in reference to this application?
Move that the application be approved.
I second it. Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve this application. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Castle Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Gasandi?
Okay, your application's been approved. We're going to memorialize it at our next meeting, and then you can start with your kitchen and your front porch.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
Our next application is 2503 High Point Investments of Serval LLC, Wawa.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Hugh McGuire. I'm the attorney for the applicant High Point Investments of Sayreville LLC. Application for the property better known as 880 Main Street, Sayreville. That's block 251, lot 1.01. And it's an application for both subdivision and site plan approval for the development of a Wawa gas station, filling station and convenience store. But I'll let the engineer get set up. I've already provided copies of the notices and affidavit of publication to the board secretary.
Could you slide the exhibit down a little bit?
That better? If you're ready, I'll just call our engineer. Okay. Come on. So you can state your name and your affiliation. Yeah, you can swear.
Sure. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You're under oath.
Okay. And just state your name for the record.
My name is Mark Shinoda, Shenoda. I work for French and Perot Associates, and I've been practicing a professional engineer in New Jersey for the last 13 years.
And Mr. Joe, you've appeared before this board before, is that correct?
Not in Sayreville, no.
Not saying, okay.
No.
You have appeared before other boards
That's correct.
and given testimony on such applications.
That's correct.
I would move that we accept him as the expert.
Yes, we accept extensions.
Thank you. All right, so Mr. Joe, why don't you give the board the basic overlay of the application and the property?
Sure.
You want to go?
So the property is known as Block 251, Lot 1. It's located on the southwest corner of Main Street and Crossman Road. It has 576 feet of frontage along Main Street, while the remaining is along Crossman Road. On the western portion of the property, we have Burt's Creek. We also have wetlands in this area, which we have approved through DEP, which was previously approved through DP, which we have filed a new application with them to, determine a new line. There's also flood hazard area in the rear of the property. We have issued a line verification application with DEP based on the projected year 2100 storm events to ensure that anything that we're developing here is not impacting the flood.
So it is part of the site plan.
This is the subdivision plan, yep, sheet 2 of the plans, yes.
Just mark, or just note the sheets that you're.
Sure. This one is a new sheet, so we can enter this one as a new exhibit if you'd like. Yep. Yep. The aerial.
But there is a problem with the groundwater
In this area, there is groundwater
on that
contamination. which-
property, on that property.
Yes, and we are, our engineering controls are separating any contact with that groundwater. The parking lot is serving as a cap. We are proposing two bioretention systems here, which are going to be lined with a HDPE liner to make sure that there's no contact with that groundwater.
But wasn't the part of the property, the EPA? It was under like remediation?
It's currently under remediation there. It's continuing remediation, exactly, yes. So the site has been determined clean by DEP. The groundwater is being subjected to injections by an LSRP. This will be going on for the next several years to slowly bring the concentrations of the contaminants down in the
But you
groundwater.
can still build there?
Yes, we've been given permission by the LSRP to build here with some engineering controls, like I said, the separation of the bioretention system for making contact with that groundwater, just to make sure that none of that water, migrates over to Burt's Creek.
And that was the only issue with the EPA, the groundwater?
Yes, as far as the soil, it's all been remediated, and it was mainly on the First Transit portion of the property, and that's all been remediated and capped.
It's
as
going
part-
to be, or it was?
It has been, as part of the First Transit. There's no soil contamination as part of this portion of the property here.
Do you have any kind of certificates?
We have
from
an
the
RAO, which we
EPA?
submitted to the board professionals, and we can submit that, sure, again.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would like that.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right,
Identify exhibit A1.
sure. Exhibit A1 is an aerial of the subject property and areas within 200 feet. No, I didn't date the actual plan, no. No, it was just kind of brought for informational purposes. So the applicant is proposing to subdivide the property into two lots, forming this corner lot here in the front, which would be approximately 3.2 acres, leaving the remaining 13.3 acres for the remainder of the property. We're proposing to construct the Wawa on this portion of the property. We're seeking use variance relief in this area. We are in the industrial zone, and it's not a permitted, the convenience store and fueling station is not a permitted use in this area, so we are seeking relief for that. We are proposing to construct let me go to the next page here. Sheet three. Sheet three. So this next page here is a rendering of the landscaping plan, which is sheet 14 of the set, just filled in with color here. So to be better representative of what's going to be built out there. We're proposing to construct a 6,732 square foot convenience store and the associated fueling stations. The fueling station will have 6 fueling islands with 2 pumps per island for a total of 12 pumps in this area. We're proposing a fly-through lane on the eastern portion of the building right here. People can come in, and this is a fly-through where there's no ordering taking place. It's strictly a pickup window only for mobile orders. So they would come in, the app would notify them if they're, when their order is ready, they would come, pick it up, and just drive out. So we don't anticipate any queuing, and we'll have somebody from Walmart to testify about the operations of the fly-through area. Middlesex County is in the process of preparing improvements for this intersection. And part of those improvements include a right-of-way dedication from here, you can see this phantom line here to here. And all the setbacks that were shown in the bulk schedule on the plans are based on that new property line, based on the dedication. The front setback is 119.3 feet to that proposed right-of-way. Side yard setback is 76.3 feet going to this property line here. This rear setback, I believe, is 226 feet to this property line. We're proposing 2 30-foot wide drive aisles. This one on Main Street is going to be a one-way in, one-way out. The one on Crossman Road is going to be right turn in, and then most likely left turn out, as there's nothing really on this side other than the First Transit development over here. The parking lot around the building will have 47 parking spaces. We have 2 ADA spaces, 1 loading space, 3 truck parking spaces, which we're anticipating to be used by sort of like landscaping trucks. And we have 1 EV ready space set up here per the state requirements for this number of parking spaces. We have a gated trash enclosure in the rear of the property here with with gates. Obviously, the gates are intended to be closed at all times when this is not in use. I know the gates do kind of open into the drive line, but these will be closed, so make sure the traffic can kind of circulate through here. We're proposing 20-foot high light poles and LED fixtures throughout the site to ensure proper illumination, to comply with IES standards, and to be dark sky compliant. We're ensuring that there's no flooding on the neighboring property here and here. There is a slight amount on Main Street here, but we feel that's going to help illuminate the road a little bit. The site has undergone a certain amount of clearing. We are proposing to, based on the tree preservation plan, to take down 192 trees that are here. Most of them are small caliper, sort of junk trees. They've kind of come up fairly recently, so we don't think they have a very high environmental resource value. Stormwater on site will be managed by 2 bioretention basins here and here. The basins have been designed to comply with NJAC 7.8 for water quantity reduction. We've designed the site to reduce the projected year 2100 storm event, which is, I believe, approximately 11.5 inches of rain in 24 hours. So the system is designed to manage that. The water will be treated by these 2 basins through a biofiltration media and then taken out to the discharge point that was proposed for the First Transit site. And then eventually the water will go out to Burt's Creek. So overall, based on the improvements, we're reducing the flow, and we are also treating any of the storm water that leaves the site for water quality and what they call suspended solid removal. Further, we've met with Middlesex County for a pre-application meeting. They seem to be very positive about the project. One of their concerns is obviously with these proposed improvements, they want us to make sure we coordinate our utility connections properly. We have a couple of the water and the gas connections coming out onto Main Street, so they want to ensure that we make those connections without impacting the new pavement that they put down there. So those are a couple of things that we've dealt with the county. But they otherwise seem to be on board with the project. Per the request of the county and the request of the board professionals, we prepared a capacity analysis for the intersection here to determine the impact of the new development on traffic in this area. Main Street currently has a level of service of B in the existing condition. Crossman Road here, obviously, it's a very short road that stubs right about here. Sorry?
Are you qualifying him as a traffic engineer as well?
We do have a traffic engineer here. I'm just kind of giving you an overview of the traffic impacts here, but if there are any specific traffic questions, we can go to the traffic engineer for those. So I'm kind of giving just like an overview of the whole thing. So again, yeah, Crossman Road has a level of service of C in the existing condition. Based on, obviously, there's no throughway going that way. Based on the improvements and in addition, the First Transit property. And keep in mind that they are proposing a new signal timing for this intersection as part of the county improvements, and we've done our counts and our analysis based on those new signal timings. So based on our analysis, the impact on Main Street is not, I wouldn't say it's completely minimal, but it's pretty minimal as far as maintaining the level of service. It will maintain the level of service of B for Main Street. We do anticipate a lot of the cars coming into the Wawa are kind of passing through this property anyway. So they're going this way, but they're kind of stopping off at the Wawa to pick up what they need, fill up on gas, and then leaving and kind of continuing on their way. So that's why we're not seeing a huge impact on it. We are seeing a reduction in level of service for Crossman Road from a level of service C to D. But again, since it is a stub road, it is only a few hundred feet long, it ends right past the driveway for the First Transit property. We don't feel that's going to have any significant impact. The sanitary sewer on site will be connected to an existing main on site over here and then brought off site here and here. We've analyzed the sanitary sewer for capacity for this property and for the existing First Transit property. And the system has plenty of capacity to handle that flow coming from both of these. Gas, as I said, gas and water service are going to be connected on Main Street. And obviously we'll coordinate with the respective utility companies on where those exact locations are and coordinate with the county to make sure that it's not impacting any of the improvements that they're doing here. Regarding the waivers that we are proposing here, we have 3 parking within 100 feet of the front yard setback. So we have this parking over here, which is within the front yard setback right over here. Parking within 5 feet of the property line, which we have in this area right here. These truck parking stalls are within about 5 feet of this new proposed property line. The First Transit parking lot curb line goes right down here and kind of goes parallel to the new property line over here. I think it's off by about 10 feet. And we are also seeking a waiver from the hairpin parking striping requirement. We're using single stripe parking per Wawa's requirements in this parking area. Regarding sidewalk, we're requesting a waiver for sidewalk between the parking areas and the principal structures. This is kind of how Wawa has their things laid out. They have this whole area sort of as like one giant sidewalk with people kind of crossing through. We do have, for the fueling area, coming through here, a sidewalk and crosswalk kind of going through here, so these people can walk from this area over here without having to walk into this drive aisle over here. Regarding landscaping, 5 foot wide, we're requesting a waiver for the 5 foot wide building foundation plantings. It's not really, part of Wawa's normal design. They like to see the sidewalk and the pedestrian access fully around the building, so we're requesting a waiver from that. 10% of the parking area is to be landscaped. Within the interior, we're not proposing any islands, but we are landscaping the areas around the parking as well. And then 1 shade tree for every parking space. Again, same thing. We're not really proposing any islands here. We're going to show the trees around here, around the parking area and within this island over here. The bioretention systems are kind of showing as these green plantings here, but it's going to be a lot denser than that. We didn't want to show it because we thought it would make this plan really busy, but these are going to be planted with a lot of different grasses and shrubs and small trees to help with the water quality treatment. And that's
I
all.
have a question.
Sure.
If you're removing 192 trees.
Yes.
Are you then, to prevent erosion, are you going to supplement with topsoil?
For the tree, well, as far as soil erosion, as far as the entrances to these basins, they're all going to be riprap aprons to avoid any erosion of the biomedia that's within these areas. And then from the output, we also have riprap aprons here to kind of attenuate the flow and have the water kind of go off the site without causing any erosion. So, and again, we'll implement the soil erosion measures as required by the standards for soil erosion control during construction, and make sure we comply with the other requirements of offsite stability and things like that.
Do they need permits to remove that amount of trees?
Mr. Chairman, they need a permit and they've got calculations on their plan. What they're doing is they're removing more trees than they're providing back on the site. So they have to make a contribution to the tree bank to offset that difference. I think it's approximately $30,000 contribution for the amount of trees that are being removed and not replaced on the site.
Any other question? Sure.
If you look at where the gasoline pumps are,
Mhm.
further to the top of the drawing, what is that right there?
So this is a concrete pad. So these are the underground storage tanks for the fuel. So this at the surface is going to be a concrete pad with access ports, basically manholes. So when they come to fill it up, they'll lift those out and connect the trucks to them. But when this is actually built, it'll just look like a flat concrete pad.
That's where the trucks will pull into.
Yes. And we prepared, our circulation plan on the last page of the plans. We did use a tanker truck coming into both of these entrances to make sure that they can navigate the site safely and comfortably as far as getting in, doing their filling and getting out.
It's kind of tight.
It is, but again, these are 30-foot wide, they're 30-foot wide lanes. We're also providing, like for this island here, providing mountable curb and, so they can get on that curb if they need to for that one and that one. This one will be a full depth curb with landscaping.
So that pad that you're talking about there is just for filling up the tanks, correct?
Yes, it's just, they want an actual concrete pad on top of the tanks as opposed to asphalt.
Right, the
So-
cars that come in there to get gasoline will not go on that pad.
They can drive on it. This is part of the normal drive aisle right here. So it's when you're driving on it, it's just like concrete. Every Wawa has that next to their fueling station. It's just a concrete, it's just the pavement will turn to concrete, then back to pavement again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I guess Mr. Kaczynski talked about the tanker trucks. Is there any way to restrict the hours that the trucks can come to the site for the deliveries of the fuel?
I mean, that's something I guess we could talk about with Wawa. I mean, sure, I'm guessing that they come on an as needed basis. When they run out of fuel, they come and
I don't know if you planned on showing the turning templates, but it is very tight as was indicated.
Yeah.
You're actually crossing some of the concrete islands.
Yeah.
And if that happens during a morning or noontime peak,
Mhm.
you're going to have some issues with circulation on the site.
Okay, so that's something we'll have to talk about with Wawa. Okay.
What's behind that gate?
Here? This is just stone over here.
It's like you have some room. I mean, if it's tight, why don't you just expand it a bit? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not, I mean, it's not tight. I mean, we can widen this here a little bit. But we're trying to keep this area not too far away. But this is how they normally landscape it. They show the stone around this area, then they put these shrubs around it over here.
Mr. Chairman, that's not really the problem area. The problem is swinging into the site, maneuvering around
Yeah,
the
this-
building and getting
This
to
is
that
probably the
point.
turn he's talking
And then
about.
once you're there, leaving to get out of the site. And I don't know if you planned on showing your turning template, but maybe you should, just so the board can
Yeah, it should
understand the
it should be on
concerns.
Yeah, no, not on the, I don't have it on here. It's on the last sheet of the plans.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on there. And again, this here also, this is the extent of the sloped canopy that's over the fueling station. So as far as this area on the ground, there'll be actual same thing, concrete. And the only other, obtrusions will be the kiosks here and the actual filling islands. So this area here will all be navigable.
When a car pulls in for gas, they pull under that
Yes, they'll pull in under here, they'll pull in and then pull in like right here.
and on the other side of that.
Yeah, or yeah, on the other side, yeah, of this. So that we have 3 of those.
You can actually have 6 cars across.
We can have, yeah, so we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cars fueling at the same time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They'll go in long way.
Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's,
Go the other way.
yes, it's,
One.
yeah, 6 and 6. Yeah.
That looks kind of tight also, to be honest.
No, I mean, yeah, this is their standard layout. We didn't change this to accommodate this site. This is their standard fueling area and canopy. So any of the other Wawa fueling stations, this is what they have.
Reason we're concerned is there's another property that we actually approved.
Mhm.
And after construction, it's a little bit more obvious how tight it
It's tight, yeah.
is. And so we don't want to do that
Sure.
again, right?
No, we don't want to do that either. So, that's why we did do the mountable curb in this area just to make sure if the tanker truck needs to mount on that curb, it's not going to be an issue. But we'll talk about the hours of operation to make sure that doesn't impact other traffic on site.
Before you mentioned earlier, you mentioned a drive-in.
Yes.
Is it a drive-in or is it a fly-in? What
It's
is
a
it?
fly-in, so there's no order window. It's only a pickup window. So they would do the orders through the mobile app for subs or whatever they're usually getting. The app will notify them when the order is ready, and then they go up to the window to pick it up, and then they just drive out.
How backed up does that get?
We'll have somebody to testify about that. We have it set up for 3 cars, but we don't anticipate any stacking here just because the idea is you're not ordering here, you're going to pick up and leave. So, and you're not supposed to go in here until your order is ready. So,
But you're going on the app.
yes.
So I'm online.
Well, no, you got to do it before, and you can't just stand here and wait and order your food. It's going to take longer for that to get prepared.
How would I know?
I mean, it's something, as far as you using the app, knowing, how long it would normally
How do I
take.
know that I can't do it while I'm online?
If you want, we can bring the representative.
Yes.
They
could talk about that, yeah.
We don't really have all the details. We're not operators. But,
Yeah.
We're just struggling. It's not real.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll bring somebody up. I think they could probably answer those questions a lot better.
Yes.
Okay.
We're guessing something.
Yes, yeah.
Where's the entrance to the store?
The entrance to the store, there'll be on both sides. It'll be on this side and on this side. And then this area here is the loading area. So this is the striped loading zone.
So in other words, facing the entrance, one would be facing Crossman, one is facing.
One is facing Main, the other is facing the adjacent property. This side is the fly-through lane. Yep. So you park on this side, you walk in here, park on this side, walk in here. There's one EV station here. Based on the state requirement, we're required to provide one EV station for the first 50 spaces. We had originally shown more, some of the Wawas are showing that, having that, in some of their developments, but they don't seem to be getting it utilized as much as we were anticipating. So we're going with the state requirement here. And if there is that need that comes up later on for Wawa to add more EV stations here, they could certainly do that.
So you only have one right
We have
now?
one proposed right now, yes.
At the best place to put the EV station?
Yeah, I mean, because we have it right next to this over here is also the air pump. So we have these islands set up so so if you park here, there's an island set up, a striped island set up right in front of the charging station. So you have safe access to bring the wire and plug in your car here. And then on this side, same thing, we have a striped island adjacent to the air pump. So there's free room for you to walk around and fill up your air.
They're slightly wider than the normal standard.
Well, I mean, if you include the striping, yes, but the actual spaces themselves are standard size 10 by 20. Yeah, the striping is basically the same as an ADA striped island.
Continue.
You just put on the record that the actual variance in question. That on the record, some boards want to recite it, some. That would be helpful to make sure, just if you can just give the list of the variants.
Sure. I'll have that in the. Here. Okay, so obviously the use variance, the bulk variance is minimum lot area, 10 acres is required. We're proposing 3.2. Minimum lot width for lot A, 500 feet is required. We are proposing 332.5. Minimum lot depth for lot A is 400 feet. We are proposing 165.9. Minimum front yard setback, I guess this is no, I don't think we have this one. Yeah, no, that's not right. Yeah. Oh, that's the First Transit property. Yeah. So those are the variances.
First Transit line, that's existing, so that's setback.
Yep.
And then, of course, the use of the variance.
How does this stack up to the one that you put in Woodbridge?
I'm not familiar. Yeah, I'm not a representative from Wawa. I'm with High Point and.
Representing the property owner, they're bringing the application. And we'll
So you
sell
don't
the
have to-
construction.
No.
We don't
Okay.
do the sale. You know what, I was gonna go to the planner next, but maybe let's bring up the Wawa representative so we can answer some of those questions. And that might be.
Wawa doesn't own the land? They're leasing it, or how long's the lease? Just curious. Anyone? Yeah. 20 years? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I think before the engineer finishes, we had a very lengthy technical review. I don't know that you have to go through each item. Do you have any issues with the
No, we're
comments?
going to comply with the requirements of the technical review. One of the other things with the backwater from Burt's Creek, we're going to illustrate that that's not being impacted, but otherwise we were going to comply with the requirements of the technical review letter. We have no
I
issue
think,
with that.
Mr. Chairman, I think the two big issues that we had are that how the fly-through operation is going to work and whether that's going to impact the circulation on the site. The second issue is we had also asked for that capacity analysis at the intersection. When the county designed this revised intersection improvements, it did not anticipate a Wawa being constructed here. So they're going to have to work with the county and possibly revise the timing of that signal to accommodate the additional traffic that's proposed, especially on Crossman Road
Yeah.
South.
And we'll submit a full capacity analysis to you for review. That's going to illustrate some of those points.
So we just ask that any resolution, if adopted by the board, require them to comply with all the technical items in our report.
Yep.
Thank you.
I have one other comment.
Sure.
Is the entrance and exit on Main Street really necessary?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we only had the one entrance on Crossman, it's going to cause a problem in the backup. It is a one-way in, one-way out entrance so that you can't leave that entrance to turn left onto Main Street. It's only out. So any left turn access would be from Crossman. If they're coming down this way, west on Main Street, they'd have to turn left onto Crossman and come in this driveway.
Mr. Chairman, I was involved with the pre-application meeting with the county, and I think there were concerns about having left turns out of that Main Street driveway. So county was okay with right in and right out, no left turns, everything. If you're making a left in or left out of the site to get onto Main Street, it'll be through the traffic signal on Crossman Road.
One of the things they asked for was to make this island over here just a little bigger. They wanted us to extend it all the way out to the property line, so we're going to do that.
They're trying to restrict people from trying to make left
Yeah.
turns
Sure.
in off of Main Street.
Try to make it impossible.
Yeah.
Was there a proposal for a walkway to the bus compound?
We did talk about that. The bus compound does not want to have another additional access over here just for security purposes. They have had some issues with some break-ins, so they want to avoid that. So we were talking about again, we had this crosswalk going through. We were talking about carrying this through here and into the building, but it's not something it's a security issue. So they're fine with, most of those people are going to walk out and walk around, and we provided access here. So the sidewalk comes in here, they can walk down this way and then across through here.
Thank you.
What about from Main Street? If people are walking on the existing sidewalk that's there, do we just go into the driveway?
I mean, right now, this slope over here is kind of steep. We can show an access over here. One of the things we talked about was eliminating this parking stall here just to have this island a little bigger here. So we can sort of try to make that work through this and bring it in here. But if that's something that the board requests, we can try to make it
I
work.
think that was discussed during the technical review process, and I think that's, must be Mr. Fowler's report, but there was discussion about
Yeah.
Main Street townhouse residents, if they wanted to get here, how would they safely get into the site? And there was some discussion about having an additional connection between the Main Street sidewalk, somehow getting to the building.
And that's something we can provide. Again, we have this one up here. There is a sidewalk that's going to be coming through. I think it's a sidewalk over here. So they can come in through here, but if the board would like us to provide an access over here, that's something we can do.
I believe you had
A
said
lot of
on,
residents to the north too, in a few months after those buildings are complete.
So
that would eliminate one parking space.
one parking space, yep.
And your loading dock for the store is right there?
Yep, this is it right here. This whole area, this whole striped area right here.
Will a car be able to park there?
No, it's not, not permitted. We're not allowing cars to park there. It's striped. It's got diagonal striping to prevent parking there.
There is parking across from it.
No, it's parking across from it here and then adjacent to it over here and here, but this
Okay.
whole area is striped to prevent parking.
What kind of trucks are you talking that's going to be loading?
We're
tractor
expecting,
trailers?
small tractor trailer trucks. We're anticipating trucks either the same size or smaller than the tanker trucks that we have that we're showing the circulations for. So we feel that if the tanker trucks are going to be able to circulate the site, the trucks that are going to be providing the loading and some of these other things like the dumpsters shouldn't have any problem navigating the site either. And we'll coordinate with the fire chief as well, just to make sure that the fire truck that they want to use here does circulate the site, and we'll provide a template for that as well.
Mr. Chairman, I think maybe the same concern about the tanker trucks and having off-hour deliveries. I don't know if that's feasible with your.
That's something we're
loading
going to have to
as well.
discuss.
So
Yeah,
it's something they want to look
I
into.
honestly don't know the hours of operation as far as the tanker truck delivery. So that's something they're going to have to testify to.
You have an operations representative?
Yes.
One of the concerns I have is if you have 2 or 3 tractor trailers show up at the exact same time,
Right.
you got a problem.
No, again, the site's not designed for tractor trailer parking. The idea is not for them to park here. We do have large parking spaces here, but these are meant more for sort of landscaping trucks with trailers. There's no real tractor trailer parking here.
I'm
on the
talking
site.
about tractor trailers that are going to be loading stuff into
Well,
the,
no, I don't think that's going to be, we'll have to talk about, we'll have to testify about that, but I'm not sure as far as how many trucks are going to be here at the same time to do deliveries. I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not.
okay.
What about signs? I think you briefly touched on signs. Can you be a little bit more specific where the signs will be?
There are going to be building mounted signs to direct people for the fly through. We are going to have stop signs or stop bars at the intersection of all the driveway areas. One thing that you had mentioned during your review is you want to make sure that we inform people coming down Crossman Road here that they need to turn right here to get into the Wawa. So we do want to provide signage for that. We're going to be doing that as well. But
You have a sign that says how much the gas is and
oh, you mean the one? Yeah, we have the actual the lit sign is going to be right over here. It's shown in that box right there. And I'll show the gas prices, and that's the normal Wawa sign you see at their entrances.
Just the one sign?
Over here, yes, it'll be right at the corner.
What about where the entrance is when you're coming off of Main Street?
We're not proposing a sign down here, I don't believe.
You're not.
Oh, no, we are. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, there is a sign right here as well. I believe this one's going to be a smaller one though,
Smaller one with pricing also?
with pricing. And there's one up here as well.
So there's three.
There's three. I'm sorry.
They seem to be close to the property line. Are they
They're going to be behind the property line here.
require a waiver or variance?
I don't believe so. I guess we have to make sure that they meet the site triangle requirements, but otherwise, I don't believe they will require a
I
variance.
believe I think it's a 10-foot minimum setback.
Yeah, I
for
think,
the
and we
signs.
have that. Yep. We're showing the landscaping around it, but yeah, from what I'm seeing here, we have 10 feet.
And so what about lighting on the site?
We have a lighting plan prepared. It's part of the set. We're doing it with some building mounted lights here, and there's going to be pole mounted lights around the site over here. They're 20 feet high with LED light fixtures. But we have the lighting plan that'll show you the full distribution of the lighting on the site. We have no bleeding going in here. We have no bleeding going here. We have maybe 0.2 foot candles on Main Street to help illuminate this area as well.
They'll be on all night long?
Yes,
It's open 24 hours?
I believe so. Yeah.
So they'll be on all night.
And just a correction, Mr. Chairman, the minimum setback for a sign is half of the front yard setback. So the front yard setback is 100 feet, so the sign setback will be 50 feet. So you had 14 feet and 8.9 feet, and then you have, I think, 5 point some odd feet for the Crossman Road sign.
Okay. I think.
So you would need variances for the setbacks, and then the height, the maximum height is 10 feet.
Okay.
And I think you're proposing 20 for at least one of the signs. There was no detail I could find for the other two signs, so I wasn't sure of the height on those.
Okay. I'll make sure you get those.
And are there any signs on the building? Like-
Yes, there will be signs on the building. Yes. I do
Are
have.
they require variances? Are they within?
Yes, they require variances because it's in the industrial zone. I think allows one sign, 100 square feet, and they have signs on all four sides of the building. They have a sign on the canopy. They have signs on the pumps. So they're far from meeting the sign requirements.
To be clear, it's a freestanding sign, and we got the three proposed. And one building sign, and they have 4 proposed.
I think there's one building sign with 100 square feet is allowed in the industrial zone, and they're proposing multiple ones. I had asked for this meeting that they provide the details of how many signs and what variances they would need for the signs. So like I said, it's hard to tell exactly how many signs they have on the site between the building and one of the freestanding signs.
Clarify.
Yeah, no, I'll provide sign details as part of the next steps.
Well, I mean, the board has to know what variances there are or not there. Whether or not your sign details, require variances.
Just on my number 7 in my report, on page 4, only one freestanding sign is permitted. I had while 2 are proposed, is actually 3, and only one building sign is permitted, while signage is proposed on all 4 sides of the convenience store, on the gas canopy, on the pumps, requiring variances. The required signage variances should be listed on the plans and the general notes. So,
And this is the sign that we're proposing at the 2 drive entrances.
okay, and the one that's on the corner of Crossman and Main Street, I thought that was going to be your sign with the pricing.
Well, we have prices, we have small pricing, so we'll just keep driving.
So is the one, the 2 driveways, is that the one showing at 20 feet, or is that the one on?
Yeah, these are 20 feet and the bottom foundation is 7 feet by 3.
So 10 feet would be the maximum height. So the one at the corner of Crossman and Main Street, then how high is that one? All three 20 feet?
These two are 20 feet here. This one and this one. We talked today, get an answer on that.
Anybody
I
watching?
mean, that, again, that might be a question we could speak to the wall rep, because he would probably know better what they usually put on these sites. That, we're getting that information from them, so.
All three sides will be 20 feet.
The area of the signs are also the same, or?
What you're saying is that three signs that they're the price signs, they're going to be 20 feet?
I guess just a question, that this 20-foot high on Crossman, the sign on Crossman Road.
Mhm.
I'm not sure the purpose of that sign, since really anybody that's coming in is going to be making a left from Main Street,
Mhm.
and they'll see the sign on the
On the
corner.
corner.
Yeah, and Crossman is a dead end road. There's just a bus depot and an industrial facility across the street. I'm not sure what purpose that's serving, but you may want to have someone just comment on that.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so we can do that. So we'll do one and one. Yes. Okay, so what we just explained, they could do 1 and 1. So I think it may be, they could do the 20-foot on Main Street. It would have to be the larger one on the main road on Main Street. But on the Crossman side, they can just do a monument sign of 10 foot. So that would not be an elevator, it would just be a 10-foot pylon monument sign. They could do that as an alternate.
With the gas prices?
That would be the price, right? That would be the same, we have the prices. So.
The same question as the engineer I just had asked or comment he had made. You have a sign at the corner of Main Street and Crossman with the pricing on it. You have a sign at the entrance on Main Street with the pricing on it.
Well, I think what we would do is we would eliminate the one on the corner. So we'll eliminate the corner sign and have the larger sign at the entrance.
Here.
On Main Street entrance, near the entrance.
And then 10-foot
and
sign
then a
here.
Monument, the Crossman entrance.
Okay, so one sign would need a height.
One would be the height, right?
The one on Main
The
Street.
one on Main Street.
So you're removing the one at the corner, which I think is probably a good idea because that's going to have red lights and signals and it's going to be congested there with signs.
Okay.
So I think that's a good idea. At least that's my opinion. To move the sign away from the signaling aspect of the road.
That's fine with us.
So now we're talking two signs, correct?
Two signs.
One 10 feet in height and one 20 feet in height.
Correct.
Both at the driveways.
Correct. Main Street, 20 feet, Crossman Road, 10 feet.
Jay, in your report, there was a lot of discussion about slopes and
Yeah,
ponding.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's technical items, just has to do with the grading of the property in certain areas. I think that's really
Yeah,
cleanup,
we'll address
work
those,
on
yeah.
the plan. Nothing that warrants real detailed discussion by the board. They've agreed to address the comments.
But it can be resolved without any major issues.
Correct, yes.
Mr. Chairman, just, I had questioned the pedestrian cross access between the site and the pedestrian, the bus depot also. And when they came back, second meeting, they had said the bus depot didn't want to provide it for security reasons. But looking at the site, there is a gate there, and the gate's kind of right in the place where it should be if you want to have cross access. And the gate is locked. So it would seem that if they wanted to control it, they could lock the gate, but when they close at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, and then you wouldn't have an issue with people coming back and forth in the evening. So, and the other thing, you have 3 spaces for the larger vehicles. If the people at the bus depot are too lazy to walk all the way around to come in and drive the bus over instead, 3 spaces for larger vehicles aren't going to be quite enough. So what I'm just proposing is that on your plan, you show future possible cross access in the location with a crosswalk lining up where the gate is. And the bus depot may find, either because the employees are complaining or because they're finding a bunch of buses are sitting over on the Wawa site in the morning before they go out, whatever, that they would like to do the cross access. Again, it's just a matter of locking the gate at the end of the day.
Okay, I can discuss that with them, sure.
Again, it would just be a matter of you showing as possible future access without,
We'll call it out.
right.
Yeah.
As long, and if it turns out a year from now, 6 months from now, if this is approved, that they want to go through with it, then you can go ahead and, make the improvement, with the engineers' coordination.
Okay.
And Jay or Mike, they're subdividing this lot. So right now it's a large one lot and they're dividing it into 2. Are there any issues that we should be concerned about that, or is that very simple? Straightforward.
Other than, well, the fact that the lot for the Wawa is undersized, it's supposed to be 10 acres, it's 3.22, I believe. And then you have a lot width issue, I think also. So a couple of variances for the lot where the Wawa's going. The larger lot where the bus depot is, I think because you lost the frontage on Main Street, they wound up with a front setback variance on Crossman. But from that standpoint, I didn't see any issues. Jay could probably speak better to the subdivision overall.
No, I would agree. I think that also you have a lot of environmental constraints to the
Right.
rear of the bus depot property. So when that was constructed, you couldn't shift it further back on the property. So they basically worked around the environmental constraints, and now the leftover piece that has the frontage on Main, that's what they're using for this property. And it's a subdivision and you're resulting in some variances because of the lot size.
So this,
that issue about the building and where it was located was part of what we testified to at the planning approval for that building, for the transit building. That did come up, that it could not get shifted back.
I think there was always intention to have another development take place in front of this site. There were different things talked about over the years. So I think it was always intended, whether it be one single property and 2 different leases, or whether it be subdivided in the future, I think it was always intended to have something else take place there.
and this 10-acre requirement, is that because of the industrial zone?
That's really what the intention was, yes.
So if the Wawa is more commercial, they would require a lot less area, right?
Correct.
Okay.
But this subdivision has been approved.
That's part of
No,
this.
that's part of this application, yeah.
So you'll approve that if you approve this application.
Any other questions?
Chairman, just, so you're agreeing to my recommendations and
We'll
comments?
call
in
it
my
out as a
report?
future cross act.
But I'm saying all of the comments that are in my
Yes.
report.
Yes.
And then just, I had a section with the zoning table where actually you satisfy the lot depth because on the corner lot, the width is the shorter
Yeah.
frontage and the depth is the longer frontage. So if, again, when you resubmit, if you can redo the zoning table, I can work on it with you if you need be, but I tried to make it clear
Okay.
in
that's
my
fine.
notes if I could.
Yeah, I think we set it up where we're saying we're not calling out any rear yard here. It's only gonna be side yards and front yards, correct?
Well, no, you have a rear, the rear yard is opposite the shorter
Opposite.
frontage.
So that'd be here.
You have one
Opposite short.
side yard, one rear yard, and then you have 2 fronts.
Yep, so
So you just have to change
rear,
it.
side, front.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I just had mentioned the canopy as a structure would need to meet the front yard setback. And that's 100 feet. I think you have 70 something feet for the canopy. And then the same thing, the trash enclosure is an accessory structure, has to meet, I think, half of the required setback.
Okay.
So it needed to be 75 feet. You've got like 5 feet. So those 2 things needed to be added.
Okay, from any property line. The 5 feet.
Accessory use required to provide half the required side yard setback. In this instance, the required side is 75 feet. The applicant proposes a trash enclosure 2.5 feet from the property line.
Got it. Okay. Right.
And then there's something in the ordinance about the number of gas stations within certain miles. They're okay with that?
We'll have our planner testify on that as well.
Okay.
Trash enclosure, accessory structure, and canopy front yard, are those being classified as variances or waivers?
I would call them variances for setbacks.
Bulk variances, right?
So to the attorney and Mr. Chairman, so if the board approves the application, I guess we could approve the sign package as the signs are being shown, but between now and the time the resolution is drawn, we have to know exactly what the variances are, you know, for all the signs. And I said, I'm not sure that's something I can do because I can't really tell how many signs there, you know, are and what they are. There's coffee cups on the building and other things that I'm not really sure of. If you follow what I'm saying. So I think if you show the architectural plan, you can show all the signage that's on the building, on the, you know, on the canopy, on the pumps.
Like the area here, like he's talking about.
You mean the signs that are erected on
They're
Right,
mounted to the building, yes.
approving the, you know, the signs as shown on the plan, and then we need to, between now and the time the resolution is perfected, to list all the variances so the attorney can put that into the resolution.
Okay.
Then there's a canopy sign, correct, and then there's signs on the, Wawa signs on the pumps themselves.
There's the streamer sign over here. So that's going to be between, basically right over the kiosk on each lane, but those are the only signs. Well, obviously there's the pumps here, but this is the only elevated sign that'll be on the canopy. And there'll be 3 of them.
And another item, there any outdoor seating and eating areas, tables, benches?
We had talked about that with Wawa. That's something they were against as far as they've had issues on other properties where there's loitering going on, you know, people making deals, things like that in their sitting areas. So it's something they wanted to avoid.
There's no.
There is not, yes.
there's not. What about inside?
I don't believe there is, no.
That would be a management.
In my report, I just asked for one bench and a bike rack, you know, on the site at an appropriate location.
Okay, we can do that.
We talked about the tables, someplace where people are gathered
we
outside, but
tried, yeah.
again, they said, well, I had an issue with that.
So if you agree that there's no tables, then that means you can't install them in the future without asking.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Plans for the other lot in the future?
It's the other lots, the lot that the building is on, that's already constructed.
Yeah, this is already constructed here.
To the right.
To the right, it's a lot of environmental constraints.
To the left is
Yeah.
that's the left of the probably the left of the street, the right is the transit building.
Yep.
That's what they have.
So when this is subdivided, there'll be 2 owners,
Well, there'll still be.
It's still be one owner.
but the business, the Wawa and of the bus terminal, they're completely independent.
Correct.
So the bus company is the one who owns all of the property and Wawa is leasing it?
Bus company is also.
That's a lease also.
They're also.
I see.
They were actually, it's High Point Investment. He's an owner. He used to live here in New Jersey. Now he lives in Florida, but he was originally from here. Yeah.
So he owns the entire,
He owns that whole.
Entire thing,
whole
yep.
lot, correct.
and he's renting out both of them.
Right. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the transit was at another location previously.
Yes.
Right, so they needed more space, a bigger area. That's what prompted this whole property being developed. was basically done with their need for the additional space. So that's what that, brought them on site, and, this was always the intention. As I said, even when we were here the last time and we're having that approved, it was always intention to do something with the front, but at that time, we weren't sure what we could do, what we would do at that point in time. So this came up as another opportunity.
And you're saying that the lease is 50 years?
No, I think this one is, I think it's 20, and I believe the back one, I think it was 20 as well, maybe even longer. That might have even some additional options, because they were a long-term tenant at the other property. They were there for many years.
And the Wawa is 20 years.
The Wawa, I think it's 20. Yeah, I don't want to say sure, but I kind of remember at least 20 years.
You want to proceed?
Yeah, if anybody's have a question, then let's bring up the
Thank you.
representative from Wawa. Thank you. Raise your right hand.
Good evening.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Under, just if you state your name and your position.
My name is Michael Riddell, Redel. I am a real estate project engineer with Wawa.
You're familiar with the site and what's planned with the site, correct?
Yes, I am.
So if you you've heard some of the question the board members had. I think the big question was the fly through and how that operates. So if you can maybe explain that to the board members.
Sure. Just first, a little background on myself. In 4 days will be my 27th anniversary at Wawa. I've been a real estate engineer, getting approvals for new stores for most of that time. I was the engineer for most of the stores that are closest to here: South River, Route 9 and Sayreville, Woodbridge, Edison, so all around. So I'm very familiar with operations and what it takes to build a Wawa. Having said that, fly-through is new. So fly-through is new for us. We've tested it twice, and based on those tests and the popularity of the program, we're rolling it out at every location. Fly-through is a branded term that Wawa is using. All it is a mobile order pickup window, as Mark explained. So our customers order on the app. They order ahead of time, and they arrive at the store. They pull up to the window, and there's an indicator, like you come across as you enter the fly-through lane. There's a buzzer inside, it says that someone's at the window, and the associate will come over right away, get your order number, and then bring you your order, and then off you go. So that process takes about 30 seconds. It's coming down as we get more used to it, but we're doing really well. Chipotle does it a lot. They call it Chipotlane, and they're best in class in the industry. So we're trying to catch up. To your question, if you pull up there and you didn't order, and the associate that comes to the window will ask you your order number, and maybe you'll say, well, I didn't order yet. They'll ask you to pull into a parking space, explain how to order, and so you can pull over, do that, and then you'll be notified when your order is ready. On the app, you have the choice. I use the app all the time, and I use it for mobile ordering because one of the test stores is near me. So I'm very familiar with this. But you can order anytime at any Wawa on the app, and then you walk in and pick it up. That's very convenient if you want to get other things that aren't available on the app. But this is a convenience that we think is just another offer for our customers that don't want to get out of the car. Maybe they have kids in the car. Maybe they're just in a hurry. They've ordered on the way. They don't really want to park and go in the store. So that's what it's all about. We provide stacking for, I think it's at least 3 cars. We haven't seen more than 2 cars. We don't expect to. If the stacking does get to beyond 3, where it goes into the drive aisle, then we ask, just like drive-throughs do. They ask the person at the front to go park and we would bring them their order. That hasn't been our experience. I don't think it will be because it's just not a drive-through. It's usually when people show up, their food or their drinks are waiting for them. So that is fly-through. If I didn't cover anything, I welcome any questions.
Okay, tell me again what the 30-second window was.
So that's when a car pulls up to the window. Within a few seconds, usually an employee will come over, ask you for your order number. You'll tell them your order number and they will take it off the shelf because there's a rack right there that houses mobile order pickup. And they'll hand it to you and off you go. So that span is 30 seconds. And sometimes it can be a little longer. If the order's not ready, then perhaps it would take longer. But again, we monitor stacking. So if there are multiple cars waiting and say someone just ordered as they're driving onto the lot, they have someone in their passenger seat that just ordered 5 smoothies and then they pull up to the window. 5 smoothies aren't going to be ready that quickly. So we would ask that person to park at a designated spot. And again, that interaction would take 30 seconds, right? Just like, oh, your order's not ready. Would you pull aside? We'll bring it to you.
But I can see in the morning especially, multiple cars going in there. So if I drive in, there's a bunch of cars in front of me. There has to be a backlog.
Yeah, we're not, unfortunately, we're not Starbucks. You see that at Starbucks a lot.
I see it at Chick-fil-A,
We're not Chick-fil-A.
but it's very popular and a lot of cars go in there.
Right.
And your order is not ready in 30 seconds.
And then we would ask you to pull to the side. So we do have experience with this. We've tested it at two locations in one in New Jersey, one in Pennsylvania. And we rarely have more than one car there at any time.
Now, this is Woodbridge you're talking about?
No, that's West Hampton in Burlington County. It's a test store. And there's one in Langhorne, Pennsylvania.
Clarity, payment is not being made at the window. Payment and everything is done on the app. So the only thing they're doing at the window is actually taking the order.
Not even,
Nothing they're picking up.
yes, handing the order through the window. That's all that's happening. Thank you for the clarification. So when you order on the app, you have to pay before the order will go through for fly-through pickup.
You also have there's also, because I do it a few times, there's a time. So it's not like everything's ready immediately. I'm sure your algorithms, you can do it 15 minutes. It tells you 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yes.
So it staggers it. I'm sure it's going to stagger it.
Yes.
Stagger it. He's not going to let just everybody come in at this, 10 minutes from now, the next 10 orders that come in. I'm sure you figured that out by now.
And you can imagine that, Wawa's a successful business. We've been around a long time. We've tested a lot of products. Things have worked, things haven't worked. And we want to keep that going. And having cars stacked out into the driveway, blocking circulation around the store is the last thing we want. So we're not going to let that happen, which is why we have the alternative that if stacking gets, 3 cars, we're going to ask people to park and we would bring them their order.
I think in the beginning, it'll be an issue. People will learn. It's going to be an issue in the beginning. There's no doubt about it. Because they're learning. Those are all new people training. I didn't know what a fly window was or a dry fly window was, you figure, but it's a great concept.
Thank you.
Great concept. The only problem I have from a business standpoint, far be it for me to tell Wawa what to do, but your impulse items have to drop exponentially, I would think, but that's your business, not mine.
Yeah. So actually, when people order on the app, they actually spend more.
Really?
Than people that go in the store. So it's a win-win. As long as you're coming to Wawa, then.
Are they limited to the number of items I mean, can they get a jar of peanut butter or?
The app has some like candy bars, sodas, that will, go out into the store and gather, but it's not the full, it's not everything. I don't think you can get beef jerky or peanuts or if you want those things, you'll park and
Coffee
you,
and food items.
yeah,
Okay.
And you only have one window, am I correct?
yes,
One window.
yes. So there is a bypass lane. That's why there's two lanes here. It's not like a Chick-fil-A where they have two lanes and people picking up in both lanes. This is just a bypass in case someone comes in here by accident and they intended to come around the corner and they turn in here. We don't want customer frustration that they have to wait for this to clear out to leave. So we have this second lane is merely a bypass lane for that rare customer that goes in there by accident.
I'll give you a hypothetical situation. You get somebody who has an app and they phone it in and they go in. And when they get there, they get the order, they say, geez, I made a mistake. I wanted 6 instead of 5. What do they do then?
Well, in that case, we would ask them probably to come in the store. We would say, well, here are your options. You can pull to the side. You can do a second order for the items that you forgot, or come on in, order at the screen, and go through that process.
Okay.
I can move on to the myriad of other questions that people have. No?
When ordering on the app, it is excluded from tobacco products and electronic cigarettes?
I don't believe there's any cigarettes on the app.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think by law, I don't want to speak to that, but yeah, no. No.
Thank you.
Did you say that when you place your order on the app, you get notified when your order is ready? Or you just come when you think your order is ready?
So what I've been told is that as this the software is developed, you'll be told when your order is ready. I'm not sure that's available now or not. When I've used it, I never look at that anyway, so that's why I can't say. I just order and go and it's there.
Mine pops up. So just to give it, mine pops up when it's ready.
When it's ready?
It says, your order's ready, you hit a big okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah, so the
Times they assign you, you can't just go in 10 seconds. It's not ready.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the
So
software's there.
This shouldn't take long at all. The order's on a rack there. There's a window right here. Car pulls up, you hand it to them and away they go, right?
Correct. So 30 seconds sounds, you're probably thinking like, how is this happening in 30 seconds? That's how it's there, it's ready, it's just passing through the window.
And I think that's why I asked the question, because for me, just even trying to, the first time I'm coming across it, is, you think of a drive and you're coming up to the window, placing an order, and paying for the order, then picking up the order. In this, you're just picking up.
Yeah.
Paying the order, it's all done. Yeah.
Correct.
Does the app specify that? That was my question. Is it
Yes.
on the app that it says this is not a drive-through, a drive-up order,
Yeah, so you're ordering, you'll have an option of in-store pickup or fly-through, and you select fly-through, and then you'll know that you're picking up at the window.
Didn't you have a Wawa in Woodbridge, correct?
Oh, yeah, a couple.
Didn't you just last week appear before the planning board for a fly-through window?
Yes, so we're adding, that wasn't me, I just do new stores, although I did the approval for that store when it was new. We have a team that's going in and retrofitting open stores to add the fly-through window. And that was approved in Woodbridge.
So you're starting to do this with a lot of the Wawa stores. You're adding these fly-throughs?
Everywhere. So this is the new Wawa. It's going to take us a while. We have over 1,000 stores, but every new store will have it. And then we have a team that's going back and putting it into older stores where it can fit. It can't fit everywhere, especially with older designs where it wasn't it wasn't just not room for it.
Is the Wawa in South River, well, at the base of South River Bridge, is that staying open?
No,
It's
no. So
closing.
this
That's
is,
one of your busiest stores.
it is. So you know that store, it's been there 45 years, and that is our older model. So that's what we're replacing. We've been replacing for as long as I've been at Wawa, trying to upgrade our facilities. So you know how small that is, how tight, the parking. It's not our full offer inside. This store will have public restrooms. It won't have seating, but it will have public restrooms and fuel, of course, and much more parking and fly-through. So we had under contract for many years a site out by the church and where the Bass Pro, the Epic Church and the Bass Pro, we're actually going to go right next to the Epic Church, and that fell through. I like this location better because it's closer to town. You know, town we've been serving for a long time. So to be closer, I think that's better.
So the store by the bridge in Saraville is going to close and this new one is going to replace it? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. And it'll happen the same day. So we'll turn the lights on in this one if we're approved, and same time we'll shut the lights off there.
And what are you going to do with the building? To rip it down?
I believe we own it and we would sell it. So if any owned property like that, we would sell.
I see.
Question. Would you have any objection for signage to be installed near that fly-through? Maybe do not block parking spaces, do not block circulation aisle. If cars are to this point, please enter the store, things like that to keep, because that's a main circulation path. And if your cars are blocking that circulation aisle, that's a problem. Or if they are wrapped around the corner blocking parking spaces, that's a problem.
Yeah, I think we can come to some agreement. So there will be a sign, just like an on-site sign that says fly-through customers only. Are you thinking maybe like this is striped as a do not block the box maybe, or?
That's a possibility. Something to make people aware that they shouldn't back out and block that circulation right, or wrap around the building and block the parking places.
Right. Like if you're right here, go around. Right.
Or come into the store,
Yes.
something to that effect. But even like you say, just do not park in this area. Do not block the box, as you called it. Something to try to keep people from not parking in that area when they're waiting on that fly-through line.
Okay, I'll take that back. We'll come back. We'll propose it on the next set of plans, and I think we can accommodate that.
Thank you.
How many cars can go from the Main Street entrance around to that pickup window?
Around here?
Yes.
I have no idea. It would have to be 20 or more. Then the only way that's ever going to happen is if we have COVID protocols again and a pandemic, and people don't go into stores, and they drive-throughs you saw during that time stayed open because, and nobody expects or wants that to happen anytime soon.
How many employees do you have in the store? What's the maximum at the busiest shift?
There'll be 12 at the peak shift. There's 3 different shifts, roughly 6 to 2, 2 to 10, and then the overnight shift.
Do you have adequate parking for those employees? That's part of your plan?
Yes, we do. So we have, like I said, over 1,000 stores, almost 1,000 of these fuel stores. And the parking that we've provided here is very typical. I could speak also to the conversation about truck circulation. The site is designed with our standard requirements. They're very generous. The drive aisles are generous. There's 10 by 20 spaces. There's foot parking spaces. There's the dimensions aren't on here, but they should be in excess of 30 feet or 20, I'm sorry, in excess of 25 feet. Yes, so they're 30 feet lanes. So you go on most other uses of this type, they're going to be tighter and harder for trucks to circulate. I think there was some discussion here about the tightness of the canopy. Was that a question that came up? So our canopy is designed so that if there's a car fueling here and a car fueling here, someone can go between them. And that's another thing you don't see everywhere. So we go to the extra expense of making this larger so that there's comfortable circulation through the canopy. I could speak to the lease. It's a 20-year initial term followed by 6 5-year options for a total of 50 years. EV, so you'll see at the Woodbridge store, there's a ton of Tesla chargers there. We have EV at a lot of our stores, but we don't own the EV. We have third parties, Tesla, Electrify America, Iona. So we offer our sites to them and we say, well, here's the site. Would you like to put EV on it? And if we find someone interested, that's how we do that. We are complying with the state statute that requires that, it's usually either 1 or 2 make-ready positions are available. Make-ready means we run the conduit and it's ready if and when it's ever required. But, it's very possible that Tesla or another EV provider will be interested and they'll want to go on this site. I can go into truck deliveries if you like. All right, so there's 5 different kinds of deliveries. We talked about the fuel deliveries. So those are on demand, as Mark said. So, as the fuel gets to a certain level in the underground storage tanks, there's an alarm that goes off and then fuel is dispatched to the site. That's probably going to happen about once per day. That whole operation takes about 30 minutes. It's gravity fed, so the tractor trailer, as he said, will pull over this area. They'll put the nozzle, connect it, and then release the fuel. And it takes 15, 20 minutes for that to happen. It's just gravity fed into the tanks.
Sure. I think the concern was more during your, let's say, a lunchtime hour or breakfast hour when you're the busiest, and if you're trying to get a tanker truck through the site, because they've got to maneuver driving over certain aisles to get to that point, is there a way to control that so that doesn't happen?
So all of our truck deliveries know to not come on the site during peak hours. That's not to say exceptions don't happen. If there was a case where, say, someone parked a truck with a like with towing a boat or a landscaper, the truck, the delivery truck is just going to wait until it's their turn, until they can get in there. But, we try our best to keep all deliveries coming off peak. As I said, there are 5 kinds of deliveries. We control 3 of them very tightly. So dairy delivers our milk, ice cream, iced teas, and those come about 3 times a week in a WB50 tractor trailer. They're going to park right here. The delivery door is right here, so they're either going to drop out the back or on the side. We have Fresh Channel, which is our baked goods, breads, pretzels, and those come daily. And usually that's a nighttime delivery. We have McLean, which is provisioning. So they deliver the bulk of the products to the store that aren't vendor deliveries. And they're also 2 to 3 times a week, also off peak. So those three we control. They'll have a time that they show up here that's going to be very consistent over time, and they know not to come during our peak hours. Vendor deliveries are, we have some control over vendor deliveries. So Coke, Pepsi, Tasty Cake, those types of deliveries, they come, as needed on a route. So they'll be delivering to other places in town and nearby towns, and they'll stop at the Wawa. They'll probably park here, and we ask them to not come to Wawa during our peak hours as well. We have less control over them because they're, independent companies, but we do ask, and we do have some leverage because we have so many stores that they deliver to. I think there was some question about lighting. So our lighting is very good. It's LED, all downlit, everything. I'm not going to speak to foot candles and all that, but we're very proud of our lighting, that it's state of the art, as is everything on the site. This trash enclosure will have a compactor and a shed inside. This is a little shed that keeps some of our power washing equipment, that kind of thing. All the fuel equipment associated with our fuel offer is all state of the art. The underground storage tanks are double-walled tanks with the space between the tanks is monitored. It has a brine solution in it. And we have monitors that go not only to the store, but to headquarters. So if any of the alarms go off related to the fuel, it's sounded right away, not just at the store, but at headquarters. So, and New Jersey is great, love it or not, that we have fuel attendants. So as far as incidents related to the fuel are minimal, because we have professionals that are putting the gas into the tanks or into the cars.
What is your definition of off-peak hours? What's your definition?
Well, it's probably easier to say peak hours. So, 6 to 8 in the morning, 11:30 to 1 is the lunchtime. And then a lighter peak in the afternoon, 4 to 6 is more fuel and people grabbing maybe milk or a dinner item.
I guess my question, I should have clarified it better. The fuel tanks, what would be the hours off peak that they would be filled up?
As I said, that the tanker trucks are going to come as needed, but they're aware of our peak times and they're asked to avoid them, and typically they will avoid those peak times. They can't always, they're going from one store, they're going back, they're getting fuel, they're going to another one. Like, it's a nonstop operation all day for them. So there may be times when they come during a peak time, but we try to avoid it, but we can't all the time.
And your employees on the midnight shift,
Mm-hmm.
how many employees do you have on the fuel part and on the store part on those midnight hours?
We typically will have 4 associates working overnight. There could be 3. There's usually 1 to 2 at the fuel canopy and at least 2 inside. So every site's a little different in just the demographics and how busy it is overnight. I suspect the store is not going to be busy overnight, but we'll have to wait and see. Once it's open, then our manager will manage the labor.
So your minimum is 2 and 2.
Yes. Well, like I said, 3 as a minimum. So it could be 1 outside and 2 inside.
Any other questions?
Chairman, just the fly through, you had said that there were more than 3 cars, that you would send the car forward to park and bring the order out. Will there be a camera so the person inside the window can see that there's more than 3 cars out there? How would they know?
We do have a camera on, I'm not sure directionally what it shows, but we do have a camera in the store that shows this lane. I'm not sure where it's visible. So in other words, if associates at the window serving someone, is that monitor right there that they can see it? I don't know that. We actually haven't built one of these yet.
You could say that though, you would have a monitor there for the person at the window, so they would know that the person looking for their order should move forward so the cars don't stack up out the drive.
Yeah, I can provide an answer on how that will be handled, but it's a good point. Just not tonight. I just have to look at where that monitor is.
Are you going to put these fly-throughs in all of your Wawas if you can do it?
Yes, yes. So all of our, this is our new model. This is what we're getting approved everywhere. And it does have fly-throughs. So thank you. This is the exhibit with our building. And here is the fly-through pickup window. Right here.
So you're gonna possibly put them in the one on Route 9 in Saraville, and put one there, and the one in East Brunswick on.
Well, that's, I'm not a part of that group that's going back and retrofitting, just like with the one in Woodbridge that just was approved. I'm not involved in that, but we do have a team that is going one by one to retrofit stores where it's possible. So they'll look at the site plan and see if it is possible. It's not just the site, you know, the circulation has to be right. There has to be room, you know, on that side of the building to put the fly through. I think that's going to be a much slower process, trying to retrofit, but we are doing it.
Sometimes a drive-through requires a variance, that's a trigger. Is this considered a drive-through as far as a variance is concerned?
I don't believe so. Well, I did not see there an issue with the drive-through the site. Again, it's an industrial zone, so look at the industrial requirements. I didn't see anything that prohibited the drive. I could have missed it.
Mobile order pickup window. But I take your point. There were a lot of variances, more than usual with this because of the zone. But I think we're ideally suited for an industrial zone because it's an amenity for that zone.
Yeah, I have a question. Your report that you made, all of the issues that are on here, they've been taken care of, resolved?
They haven't been yet, but the applicant's engineer indicated he would revise the plans to address all the comments in the report, with exception to the different waivers that he discussed. So as a condition of any approval, it will be subject to them providing revised plans to address all the conditions in my report as well as Mr. Fowler's report.
And you understand that if we approve this, it's conditions on the engineer's report.
Yes, I'm trusting our engineer that agreed to do that. I'm not the design engineer, so if he agreed that stormwater would be fixed, if it's broken, then
The parking lot grading, they want to have a minimum of 0.75%, it's a couple of areas, like 0.71%, 0.72% against the skewing those areas slightly by different spot grading. There are a couple of clarifications for the overall storm design, but I think otherwise the storm design itself, meets fairly.
so I tell you, maybe I should have started with this. So the relationship that we have with the applicant, They are the developer, and this is how we seek approvals for 95% of our locations. The developer owns a property or they get under agreement to purchase the property. They negotiate a lease with Wawa. Once that's executed, then they're responsible to obtain all approvals, municipal approvals except for building permit and health department. And then once they obtain those approvals, they will clear the site. They will bring it to grade, compact it, and put in all the stormwater infrastructure, bring utilities to the site, and then they walk away. And then we come in and we spend millions of dollars to go vertical. So everything, all these improvements you see here above ground, Wawa will take over and we'll do that. So we come in near the end of their approval process and get our building permits, Board of Health, sign permit, those kinds of things at the building department. And then we start building. They are responsible for, on the approval side, to meet our specifications. So we gave them all of our Wawa specifications. That's how they were able to design the site with 30-foot drive aisles and 10 by 20 parking spaces. This looks exactly like a Wawa should look, in my opinion. So when they say that they can comply, what they're saying is they can comply with Wawa standards as well as the township's requirements.
Satisfied with this, Jay? Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's subject to future reviews by our office, but they're indicating they can comply.
Fowler, you,
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
any more questions of anyone?
Just out of curiosity, how did Wawa get its name? Was it the goose?
It was the goose.
It was the goose,
So
okay.
Lenni the Lenape Indian word for goose was Wawa, and that's where we got it. And our mascot is a goose. Sure. I'll be here all night if anything else comes up.
Good job.
Can I drop the mic?
They'll charge us.
Thanks.
All right, I think we'll be bringing plan, we'll do some brief planning testimony as well for each variant. I'm gonna see it, yes. Please raise your hand. Yeah, put my stuff down. We're telling the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, could you please say your name to the board and your position?
Sure. It's Christopher Nusser and is Nancy Usser. The planner this evening with French and Perlo Associates. I am a licensed professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey. Both of those licenses are in good standing. I graduated from Rutgers University in 2006 with a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering and have been practicing in land use, doing both planning and engineering since, and have been accepted before over 80 boards in the state of New Jersey in those capacities.
And you can proceed.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I think we added a little bit here to my outline, so if I get a little choppy, I apologize. Some additional pieces of relief here. As I have it, I always like to start with what that relief is. So to finally just to make sure we're on the same page. We were talking about the lot area at 3.22 acres where 10 is required, a lot width of 165.9 feet, where 500 is required, the depth is acceptable. And that is for lot A, the lot that the Wawa will be on. We have various relief for the signage, including the height of pylon along Main Street at 20 feet, the fact that there are 2 pylon signs where 1 is permitted, the 4 building mounted signs where, again, 1 is permitted, and the signage that is on the fuel island underneath the canopy. I think that's
Again, the sign is a little bit difficult with those, like, hanging up on the building, and they have.
Understood.
Kind of signage that, not really that clear.
Yeah, and
That's presented.
right, and I think as presented, I think that just generally, so we're all in general understanding and understanding that we'll provide some additional information to the board on what definitive numbers are in sizes and compliance. But just generally, so we can speak about it, I believe that's what that signage relief pertains to. We have the trash enclosure being an accessory structure, where it would be required to be half the side yard, so 25 feet.
I believe it's 75.
It needs to be 75 feet.
Well, I have it written down.
If it's. You know, the side yard requirement. 75?
Side yard 75?
Yeah, the side yard is 75. So
Okay, side.
Could be 37 and a half.
Yeah. right.
Okay. Where it's proposed. At. Let's see if I can remember again. 2.5 feet off of the southern property line towards the bus depot. And then the canopy is within the front yard, both front yards of both Main Street and side street. And that is the purpose of the record. So we're clear. To Crossman, it is at 56.9 feet. And to the new right-of-way line on Main Street, 86.5 feet. I think that's, was there anything else relief-wise that you had written down?
With that covered.
So I want to take a holistic approach and look at this site as a whole, all the variances kind of together. So, first, I want to start with the positive criteria. The bulk variances, none of these are really hardships, right? Nothing, we're subdividing a lot, creating a lot. We can't make a hardship when we do that. We're building features in here. Yes, there are some constraints on this lot environmentally, but realistically, I think we should view these all in the context of a C2 variance where project advances at least one purpose of the municipal land use law, and the benefits of the relief outweigh the detriment. We'll talk about the purposes that are advanced in a second, but really looking at the bulk variances, generally the ones that relate to the lot area, the lot width. Right? We're deficient in size, we're deficient in width, and I think the board already kind of had a bit of a discussion about this already, that this is a Wawa. Right, it doesn't need a 10-acre property. It would still develop on the same footprint. They have their standards. This is what it would look like. There would just be 6.5 or 6 3/4 more acres that would be undeveloped. That, again, doesn't result in a larger facility, but underutilized land. It's a standard for an industrial zone where you permit this in your B2 and B3 zone districts, and in your B3 district, you only require a 20,000 square foot lot and 100 feet of width. Where, again, we're well in excess of the lot area and do exceed what that width requirement would be in a place where you would allow such a use. So, in my opinion, it's an appropriate size and appropriate relief for what the use is. Because again, I think they're tied together really here. You couldn't say we should create this and put a warehouse on it. That wouldn't be appropriate. As it comes to the signage, I think really when we look at the signage, that having additional signage, having taller signage, the real drivers for that are for safety. To be able to see the site, for approaching motorists to know where to go, to have consistency between stores, right? Every Wawa is signed the same. That's why this is their sign package. They provide the signage as they put it up on the buildings. It helps people identify the facility as they're coming to it. I know what a Wawa looks like. And when I see that signage, it helps direct you into it. So you want to have that signage again for that reason. really in an industrial zone, you don't have necessarily passing motors coming in, right? You have deliveries coming in, you have a trailer coming in, you have employees coming and going, but you don't have a retail sales component. So, you know, having multiple freestanding signs isn't something that you would put in the zone. I would note that for service stations, the sign requirements for service stations do allow for 2 freestanding signs. So really, this isn't inconsistent with other portions of your ordinance where, you know, for this type of use, it is something that you plan for. It's just the fact that we are in this industrial zone and there's a different standard. And I think with good reason that it's a different standard. As it goes to the trash enclosure really is it's an impact upon ourselves. When, again, the same property owner owns both of these properties. It's only closer to the bus depot. And it's in the rear of the site, close to the, you know, the regulated buffers. That's a gated area of the bus depot where they're storing vehicles. So, you know, the impact upon the neighboring property is pretty de minimis. You know, and I think there's an advantage to having this trash enclosure tucked away into the back of the site, so it's less visible to anybody driving by, even people coming in and out of the site. Because if you're coming in and going to that front entrance on the store, then it's nothing to do. I pushed it down. There we go. You have to leave the point everything. And if you're coming in off of Main Street and you're using this front entrance here, you're going to, you know, are you even going to see the trash enclosure? Probably not. So I think there's a visual benefit to placing it tucked away in the back of the site. And then finally, the canopy. Canopy is not meeting the front yard. Again, this is, these standards are 100 feet. It is in an industrial zone. So, you know, generally speaking, in industrial zones, you want larger setbacks, you have larger buildings, they have taller heights. So you want that further away from the road so they don't have such an imposing feel. This is the canopy. It's not a walled structure. It doesn't have the same impact on the streetscape. You know, it doesn't have the same visual impact that you would have from, you know, a 40-foot tall manufacturing building. And so I think it's appropriate, the location of it. Again, just calling back to your B3 zone district, this would be allowed. Your standards there, I believe, front yard is 50 feet, which this would ultimately comply with. So again, on that, I think it's given the layout of the lot and the fact that what the use is versus what the zone is and what those standards are as they relate. I think it's an appropriate location for that, for the structure. To the use variance, the board may grant a use variance where special reasons exist. These are known as the positive criteria. In this case, special reasons are that the property is particularly suited for the use and that the project advances at least one purpose of zoning. In my opinion, this property is particularly suited to the proposed use. We are located on a county road, on a corner lot. It gives us access to a signalized or a signal controlled side street. The property is located in an industrial zone, which again is something that is generally your highest impact area, right? This is where you allow manufacturing and industrial processes to happen, and you try and keep it away from your other uses. And so this use is, in that sense, less intense from an impact standpoint. Biggest thing I think that you would look at difference-wise is from a traffic standpoint. And as you heard from the testimony, the road, Main Street, can handle the traffic that would be generated, and we've testified to a lot of the traffic coming in and out of the site is pass-by trips. So there are trips that people that are already on the road that are coming through the area that are going to stop, get their coffee, get their fuel, get a sub, whatever it may be, and then continue on their way. So it's not necessarily a new trip that's been added to the road is one that was already present in the traffic flow. We also note that at a catty corner across the street, lady corner's not gonna help me on this one, that there is already retail uses in here, right? There's Quick Check across the street, so this isn't a foreign use within this zone. I think one other thing to note about it too is that, and it came up earlier about your conditional uses for service stations. And one of them is that you can't have more than 3 gasoline service stations within 1 linear mile of each other, so along the road. And in this case, there's none. There's no gas stations within a mile. So you have people traveling, you know, that would be traveling along this road, maybe you guys, and you need gas, and where do you go, right? Okay, I'm gonna go hop on the parkway, but I need gas first. You have to deviate from the route, and you're putting traffic in other places because there isn't an opportunity along Main Street in this whole portion of the borough for gas. So we're adding in a service that actually helps the overall community by keeping traffic, those pass-by trips in this place instead of sending them somewhere else to another location to get fuel. So to the purposes of zoning, I think luckily they all stay the same, so I can be. There are 3 that I've identified. The first is purpose A, which is to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lanes in the state in a manner that will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. There's a couple ways. Number one, the site's being redeveloped over top of what was, as we discussed right before, contaminated site. This is part of the ongoing remediation efforts on the site is to provide a cap on here. And so this site is helping to, remediate this property. And the second would be, again, to the signage, providing, efficient and sufficient wayfinding to the site so people can find their way here. We don't want people making a left turn out of Main Street, but at the same time, we don't want people making a left turn in because they've missed it and they're trying to turn across traffic. We want people to know where it is and to be able to efficiently get in, get what they need, and move on without creating issues. So, the signage helps to promote that. The other 2 would be provide sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of uses, which is purpose G, and then purpose H to encourage location and design of transportation routes, which promote the free flow of traffic while discouraging location of such facilities and routes which result in congestion. So again, this goes back to the location of other gas stations in this area of the borough that you're providing for a need in this area. You're providing for this use in this area where there isn't a location on here. Again, the fueling station, it's B2, B3, and the closest B2, B3, this is B2, I believe, right here, right along this portion of Main Street, and then kind of in the area where they had discussed that they had been looking to put a site over by the church. Over there's some B3, so there's really a big gap in there where there isn't an opportunity to put that. So again, we're giving an opportunity for motorists that are already on the road, that are in this area, have the convenience of the store and of the gas station, which will promote better traffic flow and reduce the likelihood of congestion elsewhere. As you know, every variance needs to satisfy not only the positive, but also the negative criteria. For the negative criteria, it must be found that the project does not create a substantial detriment to the public good or create a substantial detriment to the zone plan and zoning ordinance. The proposed project will not result in a substantial detriment to the public good, as we discussed. is less intense than the permitted uses within the zone, you know, in this industrial district. It has no features that would create a nuisance. There's no substantial impact to traffic, stormwater. There's no negative visual impacts from the site. You know, I think there was some discussion about lighting, intensity of lighting. Again, we're in an isolated industrial district. We don't have any residential uses next to us. There's no sensitive receptors around this property where, you know, you have somebody's home or something like that where they could be impacted by any of those potential detriments from the site. Not that, again, that there are any. The lighting is, as you can see in the plan, sufficient and with the site without creating impacts at all. In my opinion, though, the fly-through lane will allow the site to operate more efficiently without creating on or off-site impacts. A little aside, when they put a Chipotle in out where I live, they put in one of these Chipotlanes, and I sat there and thought, holy cow, somebody's gonna sit here and order a burrito and then wait for the thing to get made and pick it up at the window. That's gonna be a disaster. And it's the same thing, you order on the app. And it's great. I order on the app, I leave my house, I get down to Chipotle, they tell me what time it's gonna be there. I pull up to the window, they hand it to me, and I move on. I do it quite often. I don't know if I'm proud of that or what, but I will say and again, this is the Chipotle version, not the Wawa version. I've never sat behind another car at the window. I've pulled up behind another car that's leaving as I've pulled up, but I've never waited. When I pull up to the window, I don't sit there long. There's always somebody that comes, gives you your item, and you move on. This is the same scenario, the same type of situation, not your traditional, again, drive-through, just a pickup window. It's an added convenience. And if the Wawa by me had it, or gets it, I'm sure I'll be using that as well, quite frankly. When it comes to a substantial detriment to the zone plan or the zoning ordinance, it's my understanding that the borough is pursuing redevelopment of the site, which would actually allow this use within on this property. So while we have maybe, I wouldn't say jump the gun, while we're trying to get this project moving forwards and not waiting for the statutory timeframes that kind of can bog down a redevelopment. The fact that this use is being contemplated by the borough shows that it wouldn't have a substantial detriment to the zone plan or master plan. I think irrespective of that, what this use is and the offers that it gives to the borough would not result in any substantial detriment. And finally, we need to look at, because this is a use variance, the Medici standard or the enhanced quality of proof, where we must reconcile that the proposed use was omitted from the ordinance. Now, in an industrial zone, you would not expect to have a Wawa. You would not expect to have retail. You wouldn't expect to have a gas station. And for the most part, in an industrial zone, it's not appropriate. I think, it's my opinion, that for this site, in its very specific situation, the location, again, the site suitability that we talked about, that it makes sense where it wouldn't elsewhere, which would be reason to omit it. You wouldn't want it at the end of Crossman, you know, where everybody's coming down to a cul-de-sac and turning around. That wouldn't make sense. But along the county road, that's where it makes sense. So omitting it from the ordinance, you know, and from the industrial zone makes sense. But again, I think also allowing it in this location equally makes sense. So, on the whole, it's my opinion that the relief that is requested can be granted without substantial detriment to the zone plan, master plan, or the public good. Sorry. That the benefits of the relief that's being requested, which results in development of this site, you know, the addition of all the things that we've talked about, what will be a very attractive and, as you can hear, well-run site, outweigh any of the detriments that may come from granting of the relief.
Are there variances required for freestanding sign being on your?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right.
50 feet.
Right, there should be
required.
50 feet, right, and I think the easy thought on that is if the sign was back 50 feet, it would be in the middle of the site, and again, for the same reasons, you wouldn't be able to see it on a retail site. We want to have those signs closer to the road, an industrial site, different story, but on a site such as this, you want to have it in a prominent location where safety's sake, it's visible.
I'm paraphrasing, but you said that building this on top of the contaminated site is beneficial. In what way?
So it's capping the site, which is preventing people from accessing what is contaminated below it. And generally speaking, as part of any remediation effort, you put controls in place, be it engineering controls or institutional controls. An institutional control would be a deed notice, a restriction on a property against, say, residential development, something like that, because there is contamination. An engineering control is putting in place a barrier on the site so that you can't get into what may be impacted. So a building, pavement, you know, parking areas, you know, even the basins with a liner in it and appropriate separation and a soil barrier in there. Those are all presumptive remedies for contaminated site. So, you know, by putting this in place, it's putting an engineering control on top of the site.
I don't know about the specifics, but I know of a development that went up and then they found that the groundwater was contaminated and building on that site did not help the problem.
And so the engineering control isn't about solving the groundwater contamination issue, right? The site has a groundwater contamination issue, there's testimony on that. And that there's ongoing remedial efforts in the form of, I believe it was injections in there to stimulate the degradation of those chemicals. It's about keeping a separation for the public from being able to be impacted by those, you know, by whatever that contamination is. That's what the engineering control is. It's a barrier. It's not the remedy. It's a protection layer.
I always thought that it had to be remediated before you could build.
Well, in this case, I think the testimony was that the soils are clean. There is some residual groundwater issues that they are actively working on finishing up, and that they have clearance from their LSRP that there is no concern with them constructing on the site. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have the site 100% clean to be able to redevelop on it. A lot of times the redevelopment is part of the remediation effort.
And this was the case for the first transit site, Bus Depot as well. Bus Depot did serve as a capital site. There is groundwater contamination currently there beneath the site. And on the site, we have access ports where they go in and do their injections in the pavement. So this is all happening at the same time as the development.
Not the LSRP. I know they're happening, but I couldn't give you any sort of.
It's
well,
something, it's not an exact date, it's something they monitor, so they continually check the contamination to see what the impacts of the of their injections are and, you know, kind of proceed on based on that, but it's definitely for a number of years. That's going on the first transit.
I've done some remedial work in the past. Bit. But the thing with it is, especially with groundwater contamination, is it's not something that you can snap and clean. Soil you can pull out and you can clean it. The groundwater always takes a little bit more time, so it is a bit of a process. They're in the process of doing it. Again, they're doing everything that's necessary and required by the state. They have the right professionals sitting there looking at it, making sure that it's all done safely. But yeah, I mean, as Mark said, it's a process.
From the legal standpoint, Dunn tells us. They're the ones who make the decision. So the prior owner of the property is going to do remediation, and you have to keep it report the DEP, and eventually when they're satisfied, they'll be.
Part of the cap is also preventing, a lot of the water, as far as, on our site, actually getting into the ground and contributing to that groundwater. So, that's one of the roles of the cap. But yes, as Chris was mentioning, kind of developing the site is part of the remediation process to put that cap in while the groundwater treatment is coming on. But the soil treatment has already taken place. The soil has been removed from the site, will need to be removed.
I'm familiar with residential oil tank leaks. That has to be remediated 100% before anything is done. It's not that you can do anything until it's completely resolved. And I guess that's what I'm surprised with this.
That's a different kind of contamination. Yeah, the LSRP has given clearance to build on the site.
Okay.
Yeah. And in my distant past of doing remedial work, I did a lot of oil tank remediation. And I mean, people will transact properties and that legacy contamination will still be there, and people will have escrows and their insurances will take care of it. So there can be transactions that happen. People can sell property even when that.
I don't find that to be the case.
I've in many cases dealt with a new homeowner.
In fact, the attorneys will tell you never to buy that house if there is an oil leak. And they're advising the buyer.
No, I understand. But again, in this case, I think, what it is, there is a LSRP, which is a licensed professional in remediation that has looked at this, has said it is okay, that this is part of that remedial.
Well, it's also one reason it can't be residential. That's why it can't be used for
Right.
residential. That's another, that makes it completely different from a home or a building or even a condo, let's say, would be different.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Did anybody have any questions on the traffic that weren't answered by Mark? If not, we don't need to call anyone else, but if you have any specific questions.
Well, we're providing a full report to the board of
Right.
elections to review as far as capacity basis.
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe so. I think, as I indicated, county road, county jurisdiction, the county has a project that's going to improve this intersection. They may have to modify the signal timing because of this use, but that'll be coordinated with the county. So I don't really see a need for that presentation this evening.
We have filed our application. And we had a application as well.
What about circulation on site? Are you okay with the circulation on site, Jack?
The only issue we had was with the fly-through lane, and I think based upon the testimony provided and possibly some additional signage, I think that's probably about the best you can do because there's really not a lot of background on how they operate. But I think after the explanation was provided, we're a little more comfortable with what the intention is.
I think honestly, we couldn't really add to that. This is what we know.
Yes, as far as parking, they've got more parking than is required by ordinance, so parking's not an issue either.
You mentioned that their lanes are wide. Is that true?
That's correct. They've got 30-foot aisle widths, 24 could be provided. So that their parking places are 10 by 20. A lot of times you have 9 by 18. So they're above a lot of your standards for this type of use.
What about the pedestrians? You're okay with pedestrian? on site?
I think pedestrian with some of the modifications requested by Mr. Fowler and the board that they indicated they would comply with, that should address the pedestrian. The board typically grants sidewalk waivers. Technically, your ordinance says you need to have a sidewalk between all the parking places that front on Main Street and the roadway. People aren't going to use that sidewalk. They're going to get out of their cars, going to walk to the building. So you're putting sidewalk in for no reason. So you typically grant those type of waivers. So where they're proposing, it seems to be feasible with how the people are going to be walking on the property.
And I think we're making, there was gonna be a condition for the walkway from sidewalk next to the entrance.
Correct. You would agree to additional conditions. And I think also Mr. Fowler asked for trying to prevent people from walking toward the fly-through window to try to direct them to that walkway. You've agreed to address those. Yep.
Mr. Fowler, are you satisfied with everything that was on your report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have nothing else, and we ask you to grant the application.
I'm going to open this application to the public. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak in reference to this Wawa application? Hearing none, I close the public portion. What is the pleasure of the board in reference to this application?
Can I just go through the conditions first?
Yes.
Okay, so what I have is, first, show potential, future, cross-access to the bus depot lot. Then, reduce the number of freestanding signs to 2. Only one of the freestanding signs will be 20 feet. Will comply with all requirements of the engineer's report, the satisfaction of the engineer. Same for the planner's report and the planner. Provide an additional pedestrian connection from Main Street to the building, which we understand will eliminate 1 parking space. The board will be approving all building signs as shown, but for the resolutions adopted, we'll need a list to make sure the variances are fully accurate. We'll add 1 bench and 1 bike rack. Some kind of sign or striping to stop people from blocking the drive aisle by the fly-through lane to the satisfaction of the board engineer. That's all I had, Jay. Did I miss anything?
I think maybe if you want to put something about attempt to keep deliveries for fuel and off-peak hours, not be specific, but just attempt to do that.
Attempt to keep deliveries to off-peak hours.
No outside tables or eating outside. I don't know if that's a condition or not.
They haven't proposed it, so they can do it. But if you want it, right, put it in. You can put in, outdoor table, outdoor seating area up there, right? Right.
Mr. Fowler, is there anything that you want to add to this?
Just the compensation, in my report, I suggested having a handicap space on the other side of the building also, because there's 2 entrances, so if you happen to have a disability, pull onto the other side, use an entrance, there's no handicap spaces on that side. So is there enough spaces so that we could drive out for 1 more handicap space on the
Yes.
other side of the building, so we have 3 total?
Correct.
All right. Those are the conditions, I guess. I'll need a motion.
The board's heard the conditions. I need a motion on this application. I have a motion and a second to approve this application. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Castle Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Grisanti?
Okay, your application's been approved. We will memorialize it at our next meeting in May.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll memorialize it if we get all the documents.
Yeah.
Do you have? Do you have your planner send me a copy of his outline?
Yes.
Okay, next is resolutions. Has everyone had the opportunity to read the resolution on 76 William Street?
Yes.
What's the pleasure of the board concerning this resolution?
Move the resolution be approved as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito? Mr. Bella?
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Castle Grant?
Yes.
Yes.
Who's the resolution? Okay.
Okay, the next resolution is 2 Gowan Street. Has everyone had the opportunity to read that resolution?
Yes. I move the resolution be approved as written.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve it. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Castle Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Grisanti?
Yes.
Okay, the third resolution, it was the extension that we gave to Clyde Auto Recycling. Has everyone had the opportunity to read that one?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Need a motion to approve?
I move that the resolution be approved as written.
I second it. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein? Mr. Castle Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Grisanti?
And the last one is, has everyone had the opportunity to read the minutes of the March 26, 2025 minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Move that the minutes be approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Esposito?
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Yes.
Mrs. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Castle Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Grisanti?
Yes.
Make a motion for adjournment.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So move.
Motion second, meeting's adjourned.